I'm not part of the legal team. I'm just someone who's concerned about watching our rights and freedoms get taken away from us. That's why I became friends with these guys. That's why I've been supporting them. And I kind of almost feel like, the ignorance level is so high now that you have mega millionaires who are on the national spotlight, like the folks on Saturday Night Live. And instead of making fun of their friends and the local business owners who are broke and crushed and bankrupt, instead of coming down here as fellow Staten Islanders and standing up for them and bringing a positive light to this thing, what they want to do is go on national TV and try to humiliate the little man when he's down.
All right, welcome back. It's the final motif of the Women Wednesday edition of Liquid Lunch on BizTV. I'm John Tobacco. We're coming to you live from Max Pub. And right here in New York, I've been kind of in the center of the universe, trying to help small businesses, trying to help Max Pub stay open because they've been a symbol, they've been a shining light across this country for business owners who are just fed up and not going to take it anymore. And they've been standing their ground. And when you stand the ground against the governor and the mayor who are tyrannical and oppressive, they try to crush you, and they're trying to crush the little man. And when they want to crush you, they try to turn your own supporters against you. How do they do that? They try to paint you as a criminal. And then when they come to arrest Dan Presti here at Max, he gives in and says, I'll go peacefully. And then 2 days later, they come back and say, all right, well, he didn't do anything. We got to get him again. And what do? They come and frame him. They set him up. It was a political ambush. They sent 20 cops here. Now, share the stream. I want to see a bunch of shares right now because this is literally going to be news any day now. It probably should be national news because the sheriff in New York City has put out media reports that 2 officers identified themselves as police officers, and the owner of Max Pub tried to run them down with his car, and one of them suffered 2 broken legs. Now that's harsh, okay? And people who support you and opening your business, they don't support hurting law enforcement. Neither do I. Okay, now first I want to say these are not NYPD officers, although there were almost 20 officers, sheriff's officers on scene. Not one NYPD officer was here. So now when the sheriff of New York goes to the press and says that his officers identified themselves and Dan refused to comply with their orders, I am telling you right here for the first time ever, that is a categorical lie, okay? I myself personally have reviewed the actual sheriff's report, okay, with permission. This was legal. It was shared to me. It was shared to me legally, okay? For those of you, I'm going to post this out there later on, but this is, if you could see that, this is the actual sheriff's report, the incident report from the other night. Now we're told that these cops or these sheriffs identified themselves as police, and then the guy still continued to try to drive his car. That's totally false. And now I'm going to read exactly from this document that's in my hands. Okay, you should be sharing the stream right now. The sheriff says his men identified himself in the media. In the signed statement of the incident report, which is here on my phone, I'm going to read this to you verbatim, okay? And I'll post this a little later. Officer Sergeant Kenneth Matos of the New York City Sheriff's Department called out to the defendant in sum and substance, Presti, hey Presti, at which time the defendant ran away from the officers, preventing them from performing their lawful duties, namely placing the defendant under arrest. So let me read it to you again, okay, for anyone who hasn't shared it. New York City Sheriff goes out in the media where he's not held to any, binary proof or anything. No one's fact checking the sheriff. Well, I am, and I'm going to read it to you one more time. This is the sheriff's incident report from the night of the arrest. Officer Sergeant Kenneth Matos of the New York City Sheriff's Department called out to the defendant in sum and substance, Presti, hey Presti, at which time the defendant ran away from the uniformed officers, preventing them from performing their lawful duties, namely placing the defendant under arrest. At that time, the defendant ran to his motor vehicle, a 2020 Jeep, entered his motor vehicle, started the engine, and pressed on the gas. So put yourself in this one little man who's being killed by the governor and the mayor. Put yourself in his shoes. He's been arrested on Tuesday night. It's Saturday. His bar is open. The sheriff's even admitted that they had an undercover officer in the bar, so they know it was open according to them illegally. I don't think it was illegally, but according to them it was. So if you wanted to shut the place down, why didn't you come on in? And then if you had an undercover officer in there, so then you had probable cause, so why didn't you come on in? Instead, that officer left. The 20 sheriffs that were here surrounding the place, they all got in position to take down Dan. Okay, and who knows what they would have really done with him if all this mayhem didn't break out. But all of a sudden, Dan's walking to his car alone, and I'm an eyewitness too. I walked out of the bar with Dan, but right before. The only thing I didn't see was this moment and a half or so when he walked around the corner and my car was parked closer. But these two sheriff deputies, they pop up behind him, coming out of the shadows. They're in these black SWAT uniforms with black skull caps and black masks around their face. And they don't shout, "Hey, New York City Sheriff, freeze." They don't say, "Get on your knees with a New York City Sheriff." They're coming up from behind the guy in the dark at midnight. This guy's been getting death threats from Antifa and Black Lives Matter and all these people who think he's doing something wrong, trying to fight for his family. Okay. And here he is at midnight in the middle of a dark street in a dark alley behind a bar. Two people come out in all black gear with masks and hoods and say, "Hey, Presty, what would you do?" I'm sure you've all seen the video by now. What would you do? You'd run like a bat out of hell to your car, hop in that car, and take off as fast as you can because you think someone's coming to kill you, which they've been telling him every day. They're going to kill him. "We're going to kill you. We know where you live. We're coming for your family." And then all of a sudden, two sheriffs come out at the dark of night, and they don't say we're police. They don't say we're sheriffs. They say, "Hey, Presty." And I read it to you, and I'll post it later, okay? But here's the report. If you want to read it, there it is, okay? You can go back and freeze this a little later. Those are the exact words of the sheriff. We'll take a pause here. We'll be back tomorrow for more Liquid Lunch, same bat time, same bat channel from Max Public House. More Liquid Lunch.